Peaceful greetings, all. Welcome to class. Thank you for being here. I'm going to speak on some very important concepts. Okay. So, most people who come into this information about sovereignty are being scared away by being called a sovereign citizen. In order to distract people from correcting their status, there are multiple organizations, public and private, and even some self how can I say this? There are even just single groups of people, single people who are perpetuating that freedom is illegal. Right? And so I'm going to discuss the thin line between sovereign citizenship and the sovereign citizen. Okay? It's important that we realize the difference between the two so that we can understand confusion, first and foremost, and so that we can properly identify ourselves within one of these groups. Okay? So when I teach this information about declaring your nationality, right? There are individuals out there attempting to identify me as some type of sovereign citizen. Okay, let me tell you all for a fact, first and foremost, those who identify as sovereign citizens do not get passports. That's the first thing that you need to know. Those who call themselves sovereign citizens and those who are identified as sovereign citizens, they don't get passports because the passport links you to the state. And the ideology of the sovereign citizen is that they are free on their own. They're not a part of any corporate body politic. Okay. So that immediately dispels certain claims about my character and about the character of those who came before me. So we're going to go through some definitions so that we can figure out what are the implications, what are the true implications in law. Because we want to know, what is this sovereign citizen? What does a sovereign citizen mean? How does one become? How does it operate? How does it work in society? Is it a group? Is it a group of people? Is it single people who are just presenting the same information? We want to know. I desire to know. Well, certainly. No, it's not there. Up there it is. So, we're coming out of Black's Law Dictionary, first edition, with these definitions. Okay. First word, sovereign. What is sovereign? I think that we should know these things. Okay. So a sovereign, right? Let me see. A sovereign is a chief ruler with supreme power. Sounds like a principal to me. Or a king or other ruler with limited power. Okay? So that's what sovereign means. Okay? uh-huh. Now we're going to do sovereign power. Sovereign power is called sovereignty. So now we're going to find out what is sovereignty. So sovereign power, right, or sovereignty, is that power in a state to which none other is superior or equal. Okay. Well, let me do it this way. This is sovereign power. Now we're going to write sovereignty. And I like this one, so I'm going to write this definition. Paramount control of the Constitution and frame of government. And its administration. Okay. So now we need to know citizen. What does it mean to be a citizen? Okay. A citizen is one of the sovereign people. And then the example that is given, uh, okay, uh, says, or a constituent member a constituent member of the sovereignty. Synonymous with the people. And then citizenship. What does citizenship mean? All right. All right. So these are going to be our definitions for us to review, determine, and conclude. Okay. So, sovereign citizenship, right? The act of sovereign citizenship, sovereign being a chief ruler with supreme power, and citizenship being the status of being a citizen, and a citizen being one of, not by themselves, but one of, a part of the whole, or one of the sovereign people, a constituent member of the sovereignty synonymous with the people. And that sovereign power says that power in a state to which none other is superior or equal. So sovereignty is in the state. And let's see what it means to be a state. Just so that we can definitely make sense of all of this. NOPURS. Boom. What is a state? All right. Okay, let's get to work. Now, a state is a body politic or a society of men united together for the purpose of protecting their mutual safety and advantage by the joint efforts of their combined strength. Okay? So, sovereign power is that power in a state to which none other is superior or equal. The state is a society of men. So, a state is not one man or woman. A state is many men and women acting as one body. Okay? So, sovereignty is the protection of the state. So to be a sovereign citizen, if this terminology were to be made sense of, then the sovereign citizen would have to be a citizen of the state or the body politic in order to be lawful. But as I'm sure some of us may know or be aware of, there are those in the world who claim sovereignty, who say that they are not a part of the state. And as I mentioned before, I have yet to come in contact with anyone, with any patriot, with any sovereign citizen group that declares their national identification to the state. Right? I don't see it happen. If you are seeking citizenship through the state and becoming one of its sovereignty, this is how you do it. Sovereign citizenship is the citizenship that wraps the people up and protects them and secures them. It gives them their own jurisdiction as a whole. Why? Because the people are an organized society. It's an organization, a meeting of the minds, an agreement of the peoples. Okay? So sovereign citizenship treats to being one with your state and identifying yourself as one with the people. Now, who's out here running around talking about their sovereign citizens? Who's talking about their sovereign citizens? Talking about the government ain't got no business stepping in their business? Huh? Who's talking about that? We're not talking about that. Okay? The soft sit, we bring out doctrine treats yes, independent administration of the states. The soft sit doctrine treats of independent administration of the states. The soft sit says, hey, you know what? I can administrate my own estate, right? But then they also go and try to seek some type of redress or some type of assistance or benefit from the state. So you can't say that you're not a part of the state and then expect the state, right, Grand Rising. And then expect the state to assist you. Okay? That soft sit doctrine, they run around, they say, hey, you know what? I don't have to be a part of any group. You can't make me. And then they also teach of tax evasion. Right? Wikipedia has the soft sit definition as tax evaders and people who misinterpret law. That is not what we're here to do. Not at all. We're not here to do anything of that kind. Right? The sovereign citizen. Nah, see, I don't even want to use that. But let me show you. Allow me briefly to show you. Okay. So, in order for this sovereignty to apply, one would have to be a sovereign state. You see how it's hyphenated, meaning that we're bringing them together, we're annexing. You would have to be a sovereign state citizen, okay, which is also known as a free national citizen, one of the citizens of the states, of the nations, one of the members of the nation, all right? We just previously of the nations, one of the members of the nation, all right? We just previously went over definitions, showing that one must be a constituent member of the state in order for them to be sovereign with the state, right? So sovereign state citizen would be like myself calling myself a Pennsylvanian. I'm a Pennsylvanian because Pennsylvania as a whole is a body politic. It's a corporate entity. It has both private and public, right? It's balanced, right? It has land, it has people, and it secures the estates that it administrates. So I'm a Pennsylvanian. And Pennsylvania being one of the sovereign nations, I am one of its nationals. Or I could say free, because free and sovereign mean the same. Okay? So again, when we're looking at the idea of sovereignty, sovereignty comes from being the collective. It's not independence from being just one single part. It's independence as being one part of the whole. All right, sovereign citizens are known to deal with, what did it say, tax evasion. Okay. We want to talk about the sovereign citizen doctrine. What is it that the sovereign citizens profess? Right? They profess that they do not, they are not subject to any taxes, any taxes whatsoever. Okay? The sovereign citizen doctrine says, hey, I don't have to pay taxes. Well, if you're a part of the state, you have to pay the taxes. It shows that you are the investor, right? You can't get anything out of what you didn't put in. So when people say that they are not subject to any taxes, state or federal, all right, cool. Then you're not um, you're not one who you're not in a position to receive the benefits from the finances that go into the state. Understand what taxes are for. Taxes are not bad. If you understand taxes is the community's money that has been placed into the care of a trustee, and this trustee or trustees are supposed to take this finance and invest it for the betterment of the people who put the money in. I'm not subject to any taxes, state or federal. I am not a federal employee. Are you a sovereign citizen? Reparations. Only. But you're saying that you're a sovereign citizen. Well, let me rephrase that. You're talking sovereign citizen doctrine by saying that you're not. Here, let me bring you up. So I'm not going to be reading this stuff. Right. You have to be a federal employee to claim federal taxes. I don't claim federal taxes because my passport is with the state. So all my finances are with the state. It won't let me up. That's odd. Do you not have live capability? It might be that. All right. Well, I'm going to stop talking to you and get back to my class. If you're not a part of the state, then this doesn't apply to you. You could be a soft sit. If you're not a part of the state, but you're asking for the state to do something for you, that's soft citizen doctrine. So just letting you know that. All right. So the sovereign citizen doctrine states that, like this individual says, that they are not subject to any taxes. So you're not an investor, because those who pay taxes, they're the investors. All right. You're the investor into the state. Okay. You got to go by. You can teach that on your page, not on mine. All right. There we go. Get this shit out of here. All right. Sovereign citizen says that they are not subject to any taxes, state or federal. So they're saying that they're not willing to invest in the community, and therefore there should be no reciprocity. There should be no return on an investment that you didn't invest in. Right? They say that they are not subject to state or federal jurisdiction. So if y'all read in the comments, you'll see that this individual, Cindy Ann, is a sovereign citizen. Whether she accepts it or not, she's following this is what she's saying, and she was trying to rationalize it here, but we're not going to get into that. Right? She says to be in the state, you have to be in an insular possession of the state. What state do you think you're in? Right? Whatever. Anyway, she's saying that she's not subject to the state or federal jurisdiction. If you're not a part of the group, what provisions can you expect from the group? Right? Now, a sovereign statesman or woman is subject to state and limited federal. Very limited federal. Okay? Because you have to be in honor, right? Declaring your sovereignty is not about separating yourself. It's about bringing yourself back in to the Republican form of government. All right. So, state citizens pay state taxes. State citizens are subject to state laws. Right? By being subject, that means that you're a law abider, but you're also a law enforcer. Right? You have rights and you have duties. To be duty bound means that you are subject to. How can you be a part of a group and not be subject to the term? How can you be a part? How can you be a party in a contract and claim that you're not subject to the terms and conditions of the contract? Who does that? Right? Again, like the individual who was on here, they're misinformed. And if you listen to people like that, you'll be misinformed. You'll be just as misinformed. Out here running around here talking about what you can and can't do and making no sense. All right, we're subject to state, not subject to federal taxation. And there's a limitation to the jurisdiction of the feds. Let me tell you what else. State citizens, right? State citizens have certain tax exemptions. We have tax exemptions because all the gold and the silver were taken, and so it's not a thing about us being able to pay a debt with money, right? And since the money, the gold, the silver, and whatnot was given back to the government in 1933, in order to offset these issues, there are exemptions. Now, my exemption, again, I explained before, I'll explain again, that I work through my passport and there are no federal taxes taken out. As well, when I go to certain stores and I let them know that this is a tax exempt sale, they enter my passport information and it registers as a tax exemption certificate. So I'm not avoiding taxes. I'm not out here acting like I'm not supposed to pay taxes. My ID, my state, my national identification gives me the tax exemption. So I'm not avoiding taxes. I'm not saying that I don't pay. I do pay taxes, but I'm not going to pay sales tax if I'm not the seller. All right. If I'm not the one selling, why am I paying a sales tax? All right. So you have your tax exemptions. They are secured here with your passport. This is not the same as tax evasion. We're not evading taxes. As a matter of fact, we didn't go through all of this, all of these works to get information like AA 222141. We didn't go out of our way to identify ourselves as other individuals in order for us to receive this tax exemption. We get it from the state. You get it from the state. The state validates your claim that you are not one to pay sales tax if you are not the merchant at the time. I didn't have to do any shady, filings or, 9-8 bends or W8s or, I didn't W8 bends or however that, I didn't do any of that. You don't have to do all of that. All right? You don't have to be foreign. Right? If you're sovereign, Your sovereignty is in your state. Your state is your family. These are your people. All of the people of your state share the same free national name or sovereign state name. Everyone in Pennsylvania is family to me. And everyone who's an American is family to me. Okay? You have your gurus out there that are going to tell you you don't have to pay taxes. Now I'm telling you, I wish I could find the paper, and then I would show you. It's on my TikTok though. I show you all where I received my income tax statement, and it stated that no federal income taxes were taken. Zero, zip, zilch. I'm looking to see if maybe I have it. I don't have it over here. All right. Anywho. I appreciate y'all for showing love. So let me see. So subject to the tax of a victimless crime, what do you here? Come on up. So I want to make sure you're not an agitator. Come on up and ask that question. You're asking subject to the tax of a victimless crime. I don't know where you got me saying that or how you could finagle that into what I'm saying. So please come on up, right, and let us know what you're talking about so that we can clarify what it is you're talking about. And just to let you all know, if you make a statement and I invite you up and you don't come up, you will get kicked. You will get kicked. Peaceful greetings, brother.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
So I would like you to, all is well. You asked the question, am I saying that we are subject to the, I hear an echo.
Subject to the tax of a victimless crime. So say a speeding ticket, or those are
let me stop you real
considered
quick.
taxes.
Okay. Right. So, do you believe that I would be saying that anybody who's protected by the state would be subject to such a thing? Have I expressed that? Have you felt like I've expressed that?
No, this is a question. That's why I stated in question form.
No problem. So no, I'm not saying that we are subject to any victimless crime. That's like saying that somebody's doing Go ahead.
Well, the taxation of it, because those are per definition considered a tax. So when you say this, so when you say we're subject to state tax, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, no problem. So the taxes that I'm referring to are like school tax.
Okay.
Where as a taxpayer of the state, though, not of the feds, of the state, you're an investor. You're also a lender, right? So we're speaking of investments here. You're paying your tax. Your tax, that money is supposed to be put in a pool and then regulated according to the will of the people, right? If we need potholes to be filled, if the children need better grounds for the schools, that's the taxpayers' money. That's where those things, keeps chopping me up. That's where that finance would come from. The people have invested, and this would be their return on investments. Now, if we're talking about, you're not operating in any commercial capacity, and you are being held arbitrarily and forced into a contract that has no merit. No, I'm not saying in any way, shape, fashion, or form that would it be subject to any type of heinous criminal activity, in which our public servants have overstepped or exceeded their limitations. But in saying so, the people of the state, right? They have to be civically educated. They have to know their rights. They have to know that the police officers and so on and so forth are people from their own cities and counties and whatnot, and that they are of equal. They share equally in the organization of the society, and they can be held accountable, liable. They can be held liable for overstepping the bounds of the people who've elected or appointed them to their office. So, not in any way, shape, fashion, or form am I suggesting that we are to just lay down and take it. As a matter of fact, learning about civics, this is your strength to enforce and exercise and be active in your duties and obligations to society, which is to know the law, to know the standard, and then uphold that standard within yourself, and then hold everyone else according to that same standard. We have to be active, not passive. We have to be the change that we seek. I hope that answers your question, beloved. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you back down.
All right, thank you.
Most welcome. Okay. Okay. Here's another definition of state. Okay. Another one. A state is the people of the state. Oh, yeah. So let me read this one first. A state is one of the component commonwealth or states of the United States of America. What does the United States mean? People, sometimes I wonder if when people read United States, they really understand what's being said. There are 50 states united under one. They each have their own constitution, but then they're all united under one constitution, and that constitutional agreement makes them all Americans. When we're talking about the United States, people's like, "Yeah, I'm foreign to the United States." You're foreign to the sovereign states that are in the Union. That's what you're saying. All right. Remember that no one's going to correct you if it doesn't benefit them. And if you go out here talking things like you're sovereign citizen or you're not a citizen of the state, but you're trying to act like a citizen of the state, they're going to hold you to that shit. 100. Know that for sure. All right. What else? Check this out. So this deals with court. Understand this. The people, this is about claims here. If you're not a citizen of the state, you have no right of claim to the land, to its resources, to its privileges, its rights, its immunities, or its duties and obligations. Just know that. The people of the state in their collective capacity considered as a party. A party is a person. Wrong. Criminal deed. Okay. It also says the public. You have to read public. You have to read public means to bring it out of the dark into the light, out of the private into the public if it's necessary. Okay. Okay. So for now, we're going to move that part. The state is the people of the state. So in order to be one of the people, you have to be a member of the state. You can't be a single people. You can be a single sovereign, but if you have no state, who's there to protect you? This is the same issue that those in um, Nazi Germany had to deal with because they were claiming to be people who had no claim, true claim to the land. All right, when you're saying that you're a sovereign without the state, you're laying claim to land or property or a concept that does not suit yourself. It does not suit the cause. So the state is the people in their collective capacity considered as a party wronged by a criminal deed, right? The state of the whatever. No. Understand that as one of the citizens of the state, if like the individual brother was speaking about, you have issues with the public servants overstepping their limitations, and they erroneous you identify you as a defendant when you're supposed to just be the accused or the respondent, right? You must come in. You must come in not as a defense, right? But as a pro se. Pro se is short for prosecutor. This is the people. Remember, the prosecutor represents the people of the state. Well, now you're representing the people of the state. You're the prosecutor. You are the attorney general, right? You are the district attorney, right? You're not the defendant. If you're the defendant, you're a federal citizen. Know that for sure. Or if you are the defendant, if you truly are the defendant, that means that you're in the wrong. So if you're in the wrong, right, own up, own up to your actions. But in the case of operating your car, right, in a non-public, in a non-commercial manner, right, safely traveling, which is a right that you have that's secured, that is inherent and secured by the Constitution. When you're acting in that capacity and one of the public servants oversteps their bounds, right, you need to know the law. You need to know the law before you even get into it, right? But when they overstep their bounds and they say that you were operating commercially in the public when you weren't, this is how you will be able to be heard
in the court, right? I've had numerous court dealings as defendant, as pro se. I've even heard other individuals going in as pro per, sue juris, sue hereditas, just sanguine, all of these things, right? What I can tell you from my own personal observation is that when you come in pro se, they can't stand you. But when you come in talking pro per or all of that other stuff, right? They welcome that. They welcome that because that's showing that you don't you're not. It's showing that you're not one of the people of the state and you don't know the rules. I've heard people like Valhara. I can't remember her whole attribute, but I've heard her. I've heard from the likes of Carl Lentz, right? These two individuals telling you don't do pro se. I'm telling you to do pro se if you're going to go through because pro se means prosecutor, and the prosecutor acts as the people of the state and has the highest authority in the court. They're issuing bills. They're the ones making charge. They're taking charge. And so you have to be able to act in that same capacity. This is how you express the trust. This is how you subrogate, right, yourself from being the defendant, which is the guilty. You're not guilty. You're declared innocent until proven guilty, so you can't be the guilty party. This is the respondent, not the guilty party. This is the person being held, alleged that they're guilty. This is the defendant. This is the representative. This is the principal. All right. And again, take it how you wish. There's some people a lot of sovereign citizens and other individuals will tell you, don't go in there under pro se. If you're one of the people of the state, right? If you're one of the people of the union, then the paperwork that is put out there is to be used by you. You don't have to make up your own unless you have your own business and your company is came out, boom, then you have your own. But even in that instance, when you're filing paperwork in the courts, when you're filing claims, you need to file the proper claim on the proper form. You need to file. That's what you're doing when you're filing motions. You're filing claims. So understand that justice is a double-edged sword, right? And it is to be used when used properly, right? It will bring yourself redress. It will bring yourself. It will redeem you. Okay, it will settle your accounts. So the sovereign citizens. So I keep being accused by weirdos. They're weirdos. I know they're weirdos. They stalk the Moorish Americans because Moorish Americans. I can tell you now that you've never heard the Moorish American information the way that you're getting it from myself. Right. So I have individuals out there who are trying to identify me as these Moorish soft-cits, right? Or as these rebellious, agitating, aggravated Moorish Americans, or they're also trying to identify me as these passive, aggressive, Moorish Americans, right? They say, oh, you're teaching that sovereign citizen stuff and you're Moorish soft-cits and there's no such thing as Moorish American. And I'm like, whatever, man, right? I'm here to let you all know, right, that I do not teach any sovereign citizen doctrine. I'm not here to tell you that you're not a part of we the people. I'm part of we the people, right? I have faith in my government. Why? Because I understand how to run government. And so I know the little quirks and nuances that those in office know. I know enough about it to protect myself if I'm being harmed, injured, or in reception of financial loss. Absolutely. We, the people, are the bosses. But not only are we the bosses, see, understand that everybody, all of the public servants, the sheriffs, the this is the that's, they're members of the state who have been appointed. They've been taken out of their private capacity and put into the public to represent the whole. And when the whole, the sovereign nation, the people, when the people feel as though those people that they have elected or appointed are not administrating their estates properly, they have the right, the duty even, to get them out, vacate those seats, and replace those who are deemed more responsible to place those people in those seats, those offices, even if it is yourself. We can't go around sitting here thinking that we can't be the change that we seek. You have to learn to be the change that you seek. You have to learn. You have to learn the policies. You have to learn how the job is run in order to be able to say, hey, you know what, you violated, you weren't supposed to do XYZ, but instead you were supposed to do it this way. You have to know in order to be able to respond. You have to know how the rep. So people like LeBron James playing basketball, what makes him a genius on the ball field, right? Basketball court, and I'm not backing and forth about him flopping or nothing like that. He understands the game so much that he plays the game in his mind as if he's the referee. He understands what the referee's looking for. And so he can avoid certain things and he can bring to attention certain things because he understands the game through the eyes of the ref, not just through the eyes of the coach, not just through the eyes of the player. He understands how the game is going to be called. And you must have that same court vision, court awareness. You must know how the judge, the justice, you must know how the prosecutor, you must know how the police officer, you must know how the mayor, you must know who's the entry level worker, right? And who's the chief, who's the managerial. You need to know the difference between entry level, managerial, and corporate. You need to know these things because each level of the offices that they're holding is privy to more knowledge than that which is below themselves. So when you know what you're dealing with, let me see what's good. Word. So again, you have to know the rules of the game in order to properly play the game, if you will, if you want to call it a game. We can't be sitting here arguing and crying over what's not being done and then not being the ones to make the change. If you feel as though your senator, your alderman, whomsoever, is not the best representative for you and the people, gather together, make a political body politic, right? And then take one of your elected, one of your members and elect them into office. Assist them in their campaign, right? Good morning, JD. Peace and love. Right. Know their job and their position as if it's your own job. Absolutely. Recap. Sovereign citizen doctrine teaches people that they are independent, separate from the whole. They're not a part of the nation. And yet they require the same recognition as those who are members of the state. That's the ignorance of Sav Sit doctrine. And because it is so, there's a thin line between sovereign citizenship and being a sovereign citizen, because there's that thin line, people are not sure what is what, who is who. Peace and love, Jefera. All right. So the sovereign citizen doctrine seems similar. Like I pointed out, sovereign citizens, they're identified as tax evaders, right? But the state citizen who's not foreign at all, by the way, has federal tax exemption as well as sales tax exemption, excise tax exemption, and they are identifying themselves as one of the investing parties, right? When you get your passport, what you're doing is you're pledging as collateral your estate, your finance. You're giving the full faith and credit. You're a constituent member. You are a contractual obligee. You're duty bound to enforce this. Hey, you owe me credits. You owe me, and I have the proper status, standing, stature, statute, whatever you want to call it. I have it as the principal. You're pledging this as collateral, and you are receiving. This is your debit account, and you're receiving your creditor account. Thanks for the follow. The sovereign citizen does not lay claim. He said, how much credit? So, for all of you who like to hear things about the Sesta KV Trust, the Sesta KV Trust has unlimited debit in it. All right. And so, since debits equal credits, if there's an unlimited debit amount in the minority personal account, then there would have to be unlimited credits in the private major account. This is your major account. So, absolutely, full faith and credit. You issue the full faith. Faith is religion. Does my manual cover this? My manual? What manual? Come on up and be heard, please and thank you. Jefera, please, by all means. Yeah, so there are other ways that people have gone about unlocking their master account. I'm just showing the way that it was taught back in the early 1900s up to the 1930s. This was even before the New Deal came in, right? There are other ways, I guess you would say. I'm just showing the process that I found to be direct. It's like a Treasury Direct, if you will, right? Yeah, the most, right, the path of least resistance. When you fill out, when you understand what the what the DS-11 form is, right? When you recognize that it is not just an application for passport travel, it is application for recognition. It's your right of claim to your property. When you understand that it's a claim, this is your insurance policy and you're pledging it. You're making your claim. It's a claim to national citizenship or state citizenship. Then you understand that it's going to give you all of the provisions, just the same as, hey, go. This is the secure party creditor process, right? This is the not being obligated to federal taxes, right? Or this is the exercising or the Not exercising. Exercising, all right. But this is the invocation. I lost my train of thought. But all of these processes that people got us going through. Well, all right. So for those of you who are dealing with child support issues, again, this is a claim. So let me just say this much. Let me put y'all on that way. I can set y'all on your ways to being able to answer your own questions. You're doing claims and contracting. So someone is claiming that you owe them, that you've given them, that they've given you a loan. Child support registers in the debit, right, as a loan. And so you have to understand contracting. All right. So you have to get them to verify that, right? If you're only showing me the debit side of the account, I need to see the creditor side of the account. I need to see who is stating that I owe them. Because if you can show me that I owe, then I can't deny that I owe, and I must be obligated to the terms and conditions. I would tell you to file a motion to quash, which is one of the more simple ways to professionally and respectfully question jurisdiction, challenge jurisdiction. Motion to quash. You don't know who is it. You just, hey, look, you going in there. You go in there like any other bank, and you're saying, hey, someone debited my account, which means that there must be a credit on someone else's account. Show me that. Show me the account. Who received? Who is the one saying that they are the liable party? Who is the one saying that there has been an agreement that we have agreed to, that I am now to be found in breach thereof, and that I must act according to payment or performance as described within the terms and conditions. That's all. I just want you to verify. Just verify the claim. I see if they can't verify the claim, then everything must be thrown out. So I would tell you, the individuals who are dealing with child support, understanding that the way child support is being administrated here in America, we know it to be unconstitutional. We know it to be fraudulent. All right, so you have to go Legends of Elmo because you're being disrespectful. All right. But anywho, I would tell you to file a motion to quash, bringing up all of the inaccuracies of the you don't know who's stating the claim. You found out that on your credit report that this comes off as a loan. If there's a loan, that means that someone is saying that they've given you something and that you're supposed to return them. So I would ask to see, show me. Because if you can't show me that, then you can't validate it. You can't stand on it. And by proper procedure, it has to go away. So deal with that. Get that out the way. Handle your affairs properly. And once that's removed, boom, now you're able to go ahead and get your passport. How do we do DS-11? The question is, how do we fill out the DS-11 form? Now, I already have this information on the YouTube channel. Link is in the bio. But I'm going to answer this question for that individual who asked, just to show you again. All right. And I'm going to explain why. All right. I appreciate the respect and the recognition that I do know this shit. And I appreciate you all. For you to know that I know means that you know it too. Absolutely. Takes one to know one. All right. So here, if you have any name that you're using that is not the same as the one, thank you as well. That is not what is on your birth certificate. Like on the birth certificate, my name is Brandon Eugene Davis. And I've taken the creditor title under the Islamic or under an Islamic faith or trust administration of L. So on the first line, it's asking you, what name do you desire to do business in? And so I put Davis L, Brandon Eugene, right? That's for myself. You do it as you need to do it. I gave the social security number. Why did I give the social security number? Because this is an insurance policy. I'm filing a claim. You need to have the claim number in order to be recognized as the registered owner of the policy. Okay. I tell people when they're filling this out on line number 8, when it asks you your state, see how the state has an abbreviation. Now you could put it there if you're doing it online, but I suggest that you do it in the flesh. And I would tell you, like I wrote Pennsylvania here as my country. Okay. Also, if you see down there where it signs, I wrote on top without prejudice, but I didn't sign it yet because you sign it in front of the notary or the official, the authorized official. Okay. On this page, I marked no. My mother and father are not U.S. citizens because a valid U.S. citizen, as to what they're asking of, is relative to any persons under the jurisdiction of the 10-mile radius of Washington, D.C. And since my mother and father were not born in Washington, D.C. or in that area, then they're not U.S. citizens. Therefore, I'm not a U.S. citizen. Therefore, we are all state citizens. As my occupation, I am a minister. According to my religious trust and administration policies, I play the role of the administrator, of the vicegerent, of the vanguard. I am God's representative, right? I am the auditor, and I have to learn to audit my own self before I audit you. Okay, so I put down that I'm a priest or a minister, and that my school or my employer is my religious national organization. Okay, so I'm my my employer or school is the Moorish Science Temple of America. Specifically, though, and this is in my affidavit, I'm talking about the Grand Major Temple. I'm not talking about any other temples after 1929 at all. I'm talking about the temple where the brother who founded it. Right? And then along with this, you would fill out an affidavit expressing certain truths for a matter of record so that should anything come into question, they would have your affidavit on file and they would be able to judge you accordingly. So again, I have this information on the YouTube channel for you all. As well, I provide the service of assistance to the best of our abilities in filling out like what I just did now. I actually do one-on-ones, link in bio. A servant is worthy of his hire. What I give to you here for free, right? It's like I'm trying to do it with y'all sitting down one-on-one, but understanding that I can't fill it out with every single one of you at the same time. If you desire my service, right? Because I'm one who's going through it. I'm not selling you any packages or processes or procedures that I myself have not done. I'm valid. I can verify my claim. So if you wish for me to sit down with you, right, and take the time out of my day to sit down with you independently rather than me teaching to the whole, and he compensated for that. Because we're learning how to be contractors. We're learning how to be businessmen and women. That's what we're learning. That's what all of this is about. Everyone out here trying to teach you not to be a commercial entity, but commerce is the way of the world, and there's a right way and a wrong way. Most welcome. Most welcome. So yeah, we're out here learning how to be creditors in commerce. This is my creditor in commerce. This is my debtor in commerce. Debits always equal credits. We're learning how to do accounting around here. I'm going to show you all again. Especially if you have youngins, right? You can get the basics of accounting. The basics to understand how to take account, right? Because with claims, it's account. They're dealing with your personal estate, and estate is an account. You need to learn how to take up an account and understand the account. When you have that understanding, you'll be able to see the processes on various different levels. You'll have the solid foundation. You'll understand that debits equal credits, right? Which means that there must be, if there is a public, there is a private. You see what I'm saying? If there is a right, there's also a duty, right? You can't separate one from the other. Right? If I have a right to do something, I also have a duty to uphold it and then not overstep it. You see what I'm saying? Right, the dual nature. And then understanding that in reality, the dual nature is an illusion. Thinking that there's one side or another is really an illusion because in reality, both sides are part of one common factor, one core. Right? So in the Moorish diaspora, we teach that this is justice. The cross in and of itself, this is justice. Right? And that this is your lower self. And this is your higher self. And all of this is one. All of it is one. This is the stateless citizen. This is the stateful citizen. This is the citizen that is not recognized in law, out of law, outlaw. This is the citizen that is recognized in law, lawful. Seen and not heard. Seen and heard. Okay? Be yourselves. Absolutely. Yes, it's all, the spinal cord, absolutely. Absolutely. This is the yin and the yang, right? So anytime you're dealing with threes, right, in any of your religious manuscripts, right, anytime you're dealing with the concept of threes, you're dealing with trust law. No. You've got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You've got the grantor, the beneficiary, and the trustee. We've got the balance sheet, the ledger of account, and we've got the debits and the credits. We're dealing with trust law. Anytime you're talking about the three, right, or the sheen is the three. It's the fire inside. It's the light of life. It's knowledge. The sheen is it comes out. It's the holy word. All right. The Holy Spirit means perfected claim. Absolutely. Also, as well as in courts. Absolutely. Right. So let me show that. Right. You got the justice, defendant, prosecutor. No. Plaintiff. All right. Or you've got the referee. You've got the home team, home court. You got the away team. But all three of them are what? They're all on the same court. This is what we're dealing with. This is the basic concept. These are the three steps. You know, you've got yes. On this side, you have adjudication. If it ever makes it there. On this side, you have jurisdiction or venue. And right here at the top, you have status. Okay, you need to make it to status. What is the status? Because if we can't get past status, then there's no jurisdiction and there is no authority to adjudicate. If we can't figure out the proper status, are you claiming that I owe? Show me that we even have that mutual agreement. Show me that we're of equal status. If you can't show me that, this ain't a thing and this ain't a thing. Okay? So anytime you're talking about threes, the mother, the father, the son, all of that, right? You're talking trust law. Right? Heaven, Midgard, hell. Right? The compass, the square, and the axe. We're dealing in threes, you know what I mean? I appreciate that. That should make sense. It should always make sense. So, just real quick. State citizens are not persons. State citizens have persons. And there are three persons. You have one natural, and then you have two artificial. Right? The natural self is you as God intended to make you. Right? Then you have your secured person, and you have your unsecured. Your unsecured person is vulnerable. This is your unsecured security that needs to be secured by your secured person. And both of these persons have to be done by a natural person. A natural person is not a U.S. citizen of the federal kind. The secured person is a citizen of the state kind. An unsecured person is a citizen of the federal kind. This is the stateless citizen, the birth certificate, that identity. You have two cells, my people. This is God. This is your higher. This is your lower. They are all you. You hear me? This is God the Father. This is Jesus. And this is the devil. However you want to. But understand that when we're talking in threes, we're talking trust in estate administration. So all of the religious doctrine teaches this Trinity principle. What about if you're adopted? So you still have a birth certificate. The birth certificate is evidence of ownership of an estate. If there is an estate, then there must be a trust. And so you're going to take either one of the birth certificates that you may have. Yeah, I know that you do. That's why I made the comment. So you could take either or. You can take either or, right? And you're going to take that birth certificate and social security number, and you're going to pledge it as collateral. And you're going to secure your person. A secured person is identified as a creditor, not as a debtor. This is the debtor. This is the creditor. Amendment 4. Let me show you. Article 4, the Bill of Rights. The right of the people to be secure in their persons. To be secure in your persons, your papers, your houses, and your effects from unwarranted search and seizures shall not be infringed upon. Now you have the status, the correct status, to make the claim. Since we're talking about status correction, making sure that we understand the difference and the implications between sovereign citizen and those who have sovereign or free citizenship. To be a citizen is to be a member of the state. You can't be a sovereign. You can't have sovereignty in the state, and then, and if you, of your own volition, say that you're not a part of the state. All right. Appreciate you all for coming. If TikTok doesn't keep BSing me, I'll be able to make this to the live feed today. Appreciate you all for stopping by. As a matter of fact, if you haven't already, right, this is my little advertising. Ring the bell, right? Go to my profile, click the bell so that you can be notified whenever I go live. If you haven't done it already, get to it. Y'all take care. You're most welcome.